Rodney, would you play a defensive lineman just to build depth, even if you weren't sure if they were ready?
I don't think you could afford to do that, to be totally honest with you. You may get away with it somewhat in a non-conference game, but in a conference game, I don't know that you could afford to do that. They've got to show some glimpses of what they're going to be or could be, and maybe they may not have gotten there totally because they hadn't gotten totally comfortable with the system, and the game hadn't slowed down enough for them to play faster. But they have shown flashes that they can be really good. But other than that, we try to go out here every day, and we're straining, and we're trying to find 10 guys that can play at a championship level. I think you cheat the other 10 guys on the field when you put a guy out there that's not ready, that doesn't know, maybe can't execute the calls, that's not going to play hard, that's not going to give his all for everybody out there. And these guys work too hard for that, for me to cheat them out of an opportunity to win.
Austin and Brent.
Coach, can you take me through what you felt like Tyler Barron's got done from spring into summer and into the first week and a half of fall camp? And then to Bryson Eason, what do you need to continue to see out of him, and of course he continue to improve?
Well, I do think Tyler has gotten better. He's been more consistent. I would say starting this spring, he's practiced more than he's ever practiced before. So, you would think that by being out there on the field and working every day, then that you're going to improve. And we've seen improvement from him. And he's got to continue to improve on the little things. When we're sitting there watching the film, if you're going to be a true edge rusher, you can't put two hands on the tackle. I mean, he's got to learn to rush with one hand and be able to flip his hips and be able to turn the corner. He's got to stop making himself short by turning and putting two hands on the guy. Now he's not creating any pass rush. So he's got to work on the little things to get better and to take his game to that next level. But he is buying into it. He's being more coachable. I'm looking forward to him continuing to improve. And same thing, Eason. Eason has a lot of talent. He's a very gifted guy. He came here as a linebacker, and then I think they moved him. I don't know if his freshman year they moved him to D-end or not, but I know last year we put him at defensive end, and now obviously he's moved closer to the ball. He's a big man. He's an athletic big man, but he's got to embrace, that role. And obviously the closer you get to the ball, the more physical, demanding it is to play in there, So I think he's adapting to it. It's something that, we just got to keep force feeding him right now. But hopefully he sees that he could be a guy. I mean, he really could be a guy. When you start looking at the intangible things that you look at from that position, he has the body type, he has initial quickness, he has short area quickness, he has balance and body control, he's explosive. He has all the tools. Now he has to embrace it from a mentality standpoint and from a heart standpoint and be willing to strain to put himself in position to be a great player.
Rodney, you guys will scrimmage tomorrow. What do you feel like what do you need to see? What do you want to see? Top couple of priorities for those guys tomorrow in the scrimmage setting?
Well, obviously, our scheme schematically, we are a vertical playing team, so we need to play more vertical. We need to be more disruptive. We want to cause chaos. When that ball turns over, we want to play 2 yards on the other side of the ball. All right, so that's number one, just being dominant up there playing a vertical get off. And obviously, we need to be better in our pass rush, okay? We need to get better inside pass rush, and then we also got to do better with maintaining our pass rush lanes. Obviously in this league, there were some quarterbacks last year that scrambled the ball that hurt us. So we got to understand how do we balance up the pass rush lanes, and let's make sure we get the quarterback knocked down. So just taking those incremental steps, to improve every day, that's what we're trying to work on.
Rick in the back.
Coach, the good things that your group did last year in getting after the quarterback and tackles for loss, how much having that on film and being able to watch that can help that unit going into this year?
Well, that was good for last year's team, but that was last year's team. What are we going to do this year, right? I mean, we've got to take a step forward. Obviously, I think we exceeded the expectations for everybody except for the guys in the room and probably the coaching staff. But nobody came to Tennessee, I think, to say they want to be 7-6. Okay, so that is not the standard. We're moving it the right direction, but everybody, when they look in the mirror, they can see where we can get better. I know I can look and see where I could coach this better. I could put the guys in a better situation here. So we all have to be truthful with ourselves on that and understand that we have to continue to strain every day to get better. And if we want to become great, we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's what it takes.
Patrick and Vince.
Coach, where have you seen the biggest growth in Byron Young this offseason, and maybe what's his ceiling this fall?
I think BY, his football IQ has improved tremendously from where he was from last year this time. He continues to move that needle in that direction. And then I just think, just understanding the nuances of football. To me, last year, when we first started, man, he was like really like a newborn, coat. He was just all over the place. Body was everywhere. Just learning how to control his body. Just understanding, football, understanding pass rush, how to use his hands, how to flip his hips. Then and also just improving on understanding how the scheme fits, not just what he does. So how it all plays together, which will help him become a better player. And then it's also going to give us the flexibility to actually maybe, have an opportunity in some different packages. Maybe we can put him in different places, as his IQ continues to improve.
Coach up front. Dane Davis was complimentary of Dominic Bailey on the progress that he's made in going up against him. Are there any guys on that front that you've seen make a progression like a Bailey that you haven't already mentioned today? Well,
I do, and I said this in our staff meeting the other day, and I said it in my position meeting this morning. If we had to vote on who was probably the most improved guy in that room, it would definitely be Dominic Bailey. And, he's gotten better. I mean, he really has. And he's flashed, and he's shown that he's going to have an opportunity to help this team. And the thing that, when I was a little bit worried about out there today, I give him that compliment in the meeting, and I thought in practice when he started out, and I started seeing the old Dom. And I'm like, man, we can't do that. We can't play yo-yo. We can't be up and down. We need to be consistently, climbing that mountain. But, from what he's shown the previous, and he did pick it up later part of the practice, but the previous 6 practices, he put himself in a position that we think that he's going to have an opportunity to help this team. So obviously he's done a really good job during the offseason. I think his body's changed. I think his mentality's changed. He's a little bit more talented than I thought, and maybe that's what just gaining the strength, with the weight program and the maturity and all that, and maybe him just getting more comfortable in the system that we're running to. He's been able to show and flash a lot more.
A couple more, Rob and Wes.
Coach, you lost a real respected veteran leader in Matthew Butler from last year. Who's kind of stepping in to fill that void in your room?
And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's been a big void. Matt, I mean, I guess we probably took it for granted, how valuable he was, and I don't know that we filled that role yet, So, and I think we just got to keep pushing the guys, to keep straining them to see who's going to rise to the top. Some of them, it's easy to lead when things are easy, but when we face with that adversity, who's going to be that guy that's still going to stand in there and be the guy that, hey, you count on me. You get behind me, I'm going to show you the way. So we really don't have that yet. You know what I'm saying? I think BY is trying, but BY is a different type of leader than Matt. BY is much quieter. He just really takes care of BY. We need him to come on and be more a more aggressive guy to take the bull by the horn per se. And then we need Amari Big O needs to continue. He needs to continue. He needs to get better so he can become a better leader too. And obviously that comes with also doing it on the field. Not just being a verbal guy, but you got to also do it by your actions too.
Rodney, what's it been like to have the Strong office back, and what's he been able to provide, maybe sort of as a player and as a guy who has been around the game, this program for I guess 7 years now?
I've said it many times. Latrell Bumpus is probably one of the greatest young men I've ever had the opportunity to coach. I mean, he is. He's a real dude. He's a man's man. And just we're trying to. I want to say maybe pace him a little bit, just trying to not overdo him, because he really just started going full speed, probably about a week or so before we ever started camp. So just trying to, limit his rep count so we don't put him in a situation where we make him vulnerable. But he's gone out there and he's done some really good things on film. He's been recognized after a couple of practices just on the play that he's put out there. And, he's a guy that can be that tremendous leader, but it's sort of hard because we've been limiting his snap count, just trying to get him through camp on that leg. And I think the leg will continue to get stronger every day. I asked him last night, he's just saying, it's still just a little sore, but I think as it gets stronger, I think he will continue to just elevate his play. But Tyree, is a talented young man. He's got to, continue to invest in learning, what to do, and then learning how to do it and be successful in this level and not revert back to freelancing and doing it the high school way. So, it's going to be different. Things he got away with in high school, you can't get away with in the SEC. So, him just buying in and being consistent and doing it the right way and then getting more into his playbook so the game can slow down for him and now he can speed up. So right now it's hard for them to go 100 miles an hour when they're not sure if I should go here or go there, So they're sort of feeling their way through the dark. So he's got to really get into that thing and know it. Like I told him today, we play in 24 days. So it's going to go by before you know it. And, we can't wait to, find out with 100,000 people out there that you don't know what to do. So, you're going to have to show out here in practice that you earn that right to be on the field when we kick it off.
Last question, Adam.
Coach, Tyler Barron said it took him a full year to trust what you were telling him, to take your hard coaching in the right way. Can you tell when that change is made in a player? Does it usually happen in year 2?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Well, like I tried to explain to the guys, all I want from my players, I just want them to be the best version of them. And obviously, when they're in that moment, it may not seem that way. It was just like I called him up today after practice. I'm coaching Tyree, I'm telling him something out there on the field, and he gives you that look like whatever. And I'm like, dude, man, I just want you to be the best version of you, all right? When we get this look right here, this is what we're supposed to do, right? Am I right? Well, you didn't do it. You know what? When we go up there and turn the film on, you know what? You didn't do it. All right, so, so that is not, I think so many times, that they take it personal. And, and I try to tell them, I could be probably a little bit aggressive. I can probably be a little brutal. I may not say it in the nicest way, but I try to tell them, don't take it the tone, receive the message. You know what I'm saying? And take that aggressiveness. That's just me wanting to win. That's just me wanting you to be better. At times, at the end of the day, though, 99% of my guys, they come back and they love me. You know, at that moment right now, they don't like me, which is sort of like being a parent. You know, your kids don't like you when you're raising them. But when they get old, they love you and they appreciate everything you did for them. That's what we're hoping that's going to same thing that's going to transpire here. You know, that these guys are going to love me. You know, that they're going to bring their wives and their kids back to see me. You know, I'm going to be playing with their kids like they're my grandkids. You know, so that's what it's all about. And you know, and just getting them to understand, I want what's best for them. I want them to be the best version of themselves, so we can be the best version of a Tennessee D-line, and then we can be the best version of a Tennessee football team. That's all I want.